Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and More Democracy 3 Africa? Australia! There we go. Australia, playing on maximum difficulty, and we're really feeling the maximum difficulty in this last turn, haven't we? Oh boy. Things have spiraled a little bit. Water shortage, though, is about to go away, which is good. Food price crisis should go away as well, and the general strike will eventually follow and our GDP will stabilize. In the meantime, cyber warfare is going away, pollution's gone, the asthma epidemic is going away. We still have to deal with, you know, a $100 billion deficit. We are going to be well over $1 trillion in debt by the end of this term, but, yeah, we're doing the best we can, and I think we're finding some solutions, but, oh, man, it hurts. It hurts. So let's go on into year 8 and see what we can do. Okay, so there's homelessness. I was afraid of that. So general strike almost always leads to homelessness eventually because so many people stop working that unemployment just skyrockets, and people obviously aren't working a job, they don't have any income, so they just go out on the streets. Look at what your general strike has done. Is it making things better? I hear your displeasure. I'm working on it. Has this solved any of the problems or has it made it worse? Think it through. Now this is on you. Okay? But the asthma epidemic, cyber warfare, and water shortage are at an end, which is excellent. The GDP is going up slightly. We'll have to tackle the unemployment and poverty, but I think we'll be okay. Ban same-sex marriage. It's not been an issue until recently. Should we ban it at a constitutional level? It's a travesty of a religious ceremony. Condoning the practice, the church will be outraged. Yeah, this is very religious conservative. This is very liberal. Well, obviously we have to go with religious conservative, so we're going to ban it. I mean, that just makes sense. It's just what you have to do. I'm not trying to make liberals happy. At this point, I've upset them so much that there's not a dang thing I could do to ever swing them back to my side. So, yeah, we're not gonna worry about that. All right, first things first. We're gonna go to the Climate Change Adaption Fund. And we're gonna reduce it down to minimum. This is gonna save me about $32 billion per quarter now. So that's good. Now you may be saying, why not just cancel it outright and save another 12? I could. Here's the only thing I'm afraid of. There's an invisible indicator right now for the water shortage. We can't see it. If I reduce it down to minimum, it's like still like minus 5% or something like that. Now, I seem to recall that, I seem to recall that we were hovering really close to the start trigger for the water shortage before, and then we just kind of popped over the edge, and that was the end of it. That minus 5% might be all the difference we need to make sure that the water shortage never comes back. Because if it ever comes back, we're going to go through this whole thing all over again. And that's going to suck. That said, if I did take some steps, right now, the GDP is still plummeting. And will continue to do so until the general strike is gone. The environment will be okay. If I did take some steps to improve the environment now, maybe we wouldn't need the Climate Change Adaption Fund. So scary. I need to save that 12 billion. I have to. I think I haven't got it. Okay. Cancel the Climate Change Adaption Fund. I was going to reduce it down to minimum and just say I'm willing to pay 12 billion in order to guarantee that it never comes back. But am I really? Because that will get rid of my deficit if I can fix that. That alone will get rid of the deficit. Hokey smokes. All right. Okay, so we've done that. Then I guess some things we ought to do are consider things like the electric car initiative. Yes, it costs money, but it also improves our environment so it doesn't come back. I mean, if we're not going to rely on the Climate Change Adaption Fund to make sure the water shortage never comes back, then we have to make sure that we are using some policies that improve the environment and keep them at max once the GDP goes back up. Because once that happens, I know the environment's going to plummet. So a little bit of something here and there to try and improve that could be okay. We could, I guess, pass the electric cars initiative. I know it's expensive, but let's go ahead and do it. This also improves the environment by another 10%-ish. Between those alone, we might be okay. Maybe we never have to worry about it. All right, let's move on to the next turn and see. Liberal plot. Food crisis is at an end. Okay, good. And actually, our credit rating got upgraded to a double B. Good, good. That actually helps give us a little bit more money. I'm actually kind of surprised the deficit's not gone. I expected it to be. Okay. And the Climate Change Adaption Fund's gone, but apparently it hasn't... Maybe it hasn't fully taken effect? I don't know. General strike is still a problem. And that's still reducing our GDP by a whopping 41%. I expect in 2 more turns this will probably be enough to be gone. Probably. So what else is driving the poor earnings? How can we help this along? Private housing, private schools, just so dumb. Sales tax, yeah, income tax, can't help that. Wages? Wages are being driven down by immigration in no small part. Yeah, immigration's too high. Now, it is going down right now because our GDP has gone down, but once the GDP maxes out, then the immigration will happen again. This actually is our perfect opportunity to go ahead and pass a ban on foreign church services, which is, by a long shot, the most effective way of eliminating immigration in the game. By a long shot. Yeah, I think we're going to do this. This reduces it by a whopping 85%. I mean, you pass the ban, the foreign church services, and basically immigration's gone for the rest of the game. It just does not matter. Racial tension may go up, but it doesn't matter. There are no ethnic minorities left in our country to be upset. Ethnic minorities? Nope, they're gone. Don't worry about it. Really what you're doing is you're eliminating immigration, which does come with some penalties to the economy. It does. Alright, I won't sugarcoat that. And it upsets the liberals, but it makes the religious happy. That's it. I do think it's interesting that there's sort of a presumption that the majority of people entering your country are of a different religion. I think that's interesting. It's not necessarily true. What if we had some Irish immigrants or something that wanted to come in? You know? Catholic. I mean, that's still compatible in Australia, right? Doesn't have to be Islamic. I mean, they even have a picture of a freaking mosque. This is an actual Muslim ban when you think about it. Topical references. Because of what's actually happening in the United States right now. Everyone's freaking out about it. Oh, God. Market meltdown, please. No. Alright, well, the global market just crashed, which means our GDP is not going to recover anytime soon. Crap, crap, crappity crap. But homelessness is about to go away. General strike's not quite gone, but it's trying really hard. Bless its heart. Alright, immigration, how you looking? Plummeting. Good, okay. So, yeah, this is actually going to hurt the GDP because it's too low. Immigration's a good thing, guys. I mean, too much immigration can be a problem. It causes a lot of cultural friction as is happening right now in Europe. You got a lot of refugees and Muslim migrants coming from the Syrian region and stuff moving into Europe, and we're starting to see a lot of racial tensions and kind of culture clashes happening throughout Europe, and Germany and France in particular, I find, especially Germany. So there's definitely a problem with too much migration, and even then, too much migration does drive down wages because now there's a bunch of really cheap, unskilled workers, or maybe not even unskilled, but just cheap and willing to work for less. Maybe because they presumably came from a country that paid less, so they're okay with that. So too much immigration is a bad thing. Too little means that your labor force is kind of stagnating and not replenishing quite as rapidly as it could. There's a benefit to having a small, reasonable number of people entering your country. So we're actually going to see that GDP goes down. Wages may go up, but the GDP will go down. But yeah, I don't think we're worried about the racial tension. The racial tension is basically going to go away because there are none. They're very unhappy right now as we basically just chase them out with torches and pitchforks from Australia. Oh, it's so sad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Topical references and all that because it's a very hot button issue in the United States right now. I'm not sure how much I want to go into it. There's so many tensions are so high and there's so much hysteria around it. Honestly, on the left and the right. I mean, the right is, you know, freaking out that the left's getting involved in judicial activism, which, to be fair, I will say I do think there's been some judicial activism in this. Having read the executive order from Donald Trump, I do actually think that the travel restrictions he passed are legal, as far as I can tell. I'm no expert, not a lawyer, but I've read it. I've actually read the actual executive order. I read it before a bunch of media sites started reporting on it, so I wouldn't get biased. And my first impressions, that seems completely within the realm of the executive branch to do. So I actually think that the judicial branch is wrong on this one. I do think that they were politically motivated. And there are a few other concerns I have about it. I'm not sure I want to go into it right now, but yeah, there is that. I don't necessarily agree with the ban, by the way. The travel ban that was coming from those 7 countries and also a suspension of the refugee crisis. I am not in support of that. I just want to make this very clear. I don't support that action because I don't actually think it's going to accomplish as much as has been said it's going to do. But I do think the left has been overreacting to it. I don't know. I'm not going to make any... excuse me. I'm not going to make any friends by saying this, but, you know, that's just what I see it. That's how I see it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. And I'll just learn to live with that. Moving on. Let's go ahead and pass compulsory work for the unemployed. This is considered incredibly tyrannical. Not a compassionate thing to do at all. But our unemployment is getting really bad. And with people freaking striking and not working, of course they're unemployed. They're losing their jobs because no one's freaking working. But what's going to happen now is we're going to pass a program that says, all right, fine. You want a general strike? You want to not work and ruin our economy? Fine. But if you still want your welfare check, then you got to go out there and do something. Something useful. And again, this is not considered compassionate. The poor and the socialists won't like it. But the GDP will go up a tiny bit, and unemployment will go down because people are like, oh, well, I guess I don't want to be unemployed after all. So it's considered a little bit draconian by some people. But I think it's freaking fair. If you're going to not work and destroy our economy and still expect to collect your welfare check, well, screw you. Go out and do some work. I'm being a little bit harsh. I am aware of this. But I think it is at least moderately a fair thing to do. All right, what else do we want to do? We need to continue reducing our expenditures because right now it's really bad. I'm going to reduce our tech grants because we're already maxed on technology. I can show you this right here. We've been maxed for a long time. So I can actually safely reduce this at least a few billion. Let's say to about 5 billion. And this actually may not impact my technology at all, and it will save me a few $billion. It also slightly impacts the GDP and productivity. Slightly. That said, it also hurts unemployment. The other thing we could do instead is reduce the married tax allowance, because this is very expensive. I could do this instead. If I reduce this to about 4 billion, for example, yes, we get some liberals back, but not very many. Like 3%. And it will save us several $billion. It's an option. All right, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to reduce the married tax allowance. We're kind of flip-flopping on issues, which is going to make us considered untrustworthy. Yeah, you can see that here. But we need to save money, and we have to kind of cut costs. Credit rating downgraded once again to a B. But the homelessness is over, so it was nice while it lasted, I guess. Yeah, this is one of the cool things about maximum difficulty, is at some point, it's a harsh lesson to learn, but you actually will get penalized for just putting everything to maximum or minimum. Right? That's what you can do on normal difficulty. You can usually go around and just like find certain policies that are really good and just max them out. But in maximum difficulty, those consequences really start to hit you pretty hard. Either in cost, which, you know, is really bad, or, for example, the water shortage with the farming membership, which, by the way, has been steadily going down thanks to the farmland acquisition program. So I actually think that the water shortage will never come back because we've improved our environment a fair bit. It's actually been at max for a while right now. And by reducing the farmer membership, I think we might be okay, actually. We might. The GDP going down is still a problem. Right, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is still looking really bad, and we're going to have over $1 trillion of debt by the time I leave office. I don't see any good way around that one. But it could be a lot worse. I do really want to get rid of this stupid alcohol abuse. I'm getting very frustrated that it's not gone yet. Oh my gosh, alcohol consumption's so low and it's still not gone? How are you still abusing this while drinking no alcohol? How are you doing it? The unemployment certainly doesn't help. Oh, freaking heck. All right, I'm not happy about this. Not proud of it. But I'm going to raise the restrictions on alcohol again. You guys keep abusing it and costing the government money? Fine. Low-strength beer only. You are only allowed to drink craft Australian beer. No more wine, no yellowtail, no spirits. None of that. Not allowed. Oh god, this is not going to go well. Rent controls. Let's pass them. It's going to reduce poverty. It's going to upset the capitalists like hell. There's just no way around it, but I don't care. I'm just trying to reduce poverty and trying to reduce homelessness and everything else right now. Actually, I'm not sure I totally needed to do that. I probably could have been okay without doing it, now that I think about it. But poverty's still here. I mean, this will help reduce it down to minimum. It'll be okay. Never mind. I kind of regret that decision a slight bit. But it could have been a heck of a lot worse. What else do we want to do? I could reduce some more expenditures. I hate the idea of losing GDP, but maybe we do want to do tech grants reduction. The alternative, of course, would be to reduce the farmland acquisition program, but I'm just going to do this. Let's reduce this to about, $4.5 billion. We're going to save ourselves a few $1 billion. That's the goal there. I have to reduce my spending. I can't raise taxes, all right? I know that may seem tempting to raise taxes any further. Income tax, luxury good tax, corporate tax, punitive wealth taxes, anything like that sounds great. Here's the thing. I am almost positive with a 60% income tax and a whole bunch of different kinds, including things like mansion taxes, sales taxes, capital gains taxes, and so on. If I raise this pretty much any more at all, we will get a brain drain. I am just about positive. The good news is the general strike's about to go away, which will increase our GDP by 35%. We'll get closer to max, even though I am pretty sure that the global economy is in the crapper right now. So we'll jump back up. We're actually going to recover better than most of the world, surprisingly. But it's still rather painful. No doubt about it. It is definitely painful. Alright, anything else I want to do? No, I actually think I'm going to save these points. We're going to see how things look after the general strike is gone. Next video, we will see if we want to spend some points on more expensive stuff. We'll see how our budget looks. I'd really rather not raise taxes at all. I don't think I can. And there's not a whole lot of other things that I want to reduce spending in. Military, infrastructure, and so on. But we may not have much of a choice with the global economy being the way it is. So we'll see. We'll see. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I, as always, will see you guys next time.